Hey, Jeff. Give me a sec. I'm getting all the windows in order here. Oh man, I'm not awake. All right then. Hey, Audrey. Mr. Jervis, Freddie, Wabbit. Forgive the cold symptoms, it still lingers. I just got up. I hope you're not up late, Jason. Nice. I don't know how long I'm going to run this morning. Today is going to replace the Sunday synth Shenanigans that I would do later in the afternoon, or 2 p.m. Eastern U.S., but, what is that, like 8 p.m. in UK time. My family has scheduled us to go see the new film, what's his name? Dylan. We're going to go see the Dylan film, a Bob Dylan biography sort of film. And then they scheduled it in the slot that is my 2 p.m. stream. So, oh well. Forced family fun. So, Let's see. Let's put a little... I liked that, but I didn't like that. So hang on a second. All right, let's try this again. Yeah, voice is a little better. I'm not happy with that timbre today. And I didn't change it. Weird. Alright. Oh, I know what it is. It's that, I don't like the delay timing on it. That's what it is. There we go. Make tea. I haven't had any tea yet. Hey, Don. softer. I know there's a soft lead in here somewhere. Ugh, I don't know. That's just grating against my ears today. Oh, there. A little triangle lead. That's better. Those run for a bit, and we'll mess around with some chord changes and see if we make it better or worse. See what happens here. I went to a Lydian place. That was unexpected. It's not exactly happy, but it's not in that minor key anymore. Let's take it here. need John Anderson at this point. We need some John Anderson vocals. Now we're back to minor. It can take us back to that happy place. Let's change some of these patterns up a bit. We'll go back to our minor home. We'll take this lead out, and then we'll take the bass out and just take it down to the plucks, and then change the plucks around. Wait till the bass gets to a place where it's not too jarring. Remove it. Right here. Well, that was jarring. Something simple. Just like a little ostinato-y kind of thing. It's as simple as it gets. There we go. And we'll put a little more energetic bass line on it. I'm the Bob Ross of synth streams. Thank you, Don. The dog. The dog is asleep. He's getting old enough that he just sleeps in now. All right, we'll do that. Maybe a different rhythm. I've got a few flubs in there. We'll see if it is too bad. Hey, Inverted Popes. Good to see you. I'm going to reach in and tweak a couple of these velocities. Steve. Sorry. Little coughing fit there. It's okay. It's just a head cold. It's moved into my chest, but it's progressing. It'll be fine. Change the lead sound. Hey, Pat Brady. Good to see you. Let's get real happy. one more round of this sort of pseudo-happy John Anderson-esque kind of thing going on there. And then I'm going to pull all of the stuff out and do a little droning. Just layered chords for a little bit. See you, Inverted Popes. Have a good one. Just want to hold these out for a bit. Hey, River. Oh, yeah. I should probably switch over to live chat. Hey, Richard. It's an early morning, not a late night. So, I predict with all of January, I will be going to bed about 9 p.m. every night. That's been the pattern this week, because I'm getting up at about 4:30. Nice. I do still want that multi-poly from Korg, Audrey. All right, let's try and do something, speaking of Audrey. This might be excessive. Let's see what happens. Yeah, okay, too low. I don't know if any of you are using subwoofers, but the bass here should be low enough that it might be clicking. It might be too low. Hey, Mark. Welcome. New to synths, new to modular? Nice. Well, welcome aboard, man. You could count the hertz the first time, yeah, I heard it clicking. Wait, let's bring it up. What is this right now? It might be too low. I'm going to bring it up an octave, Audrey. Okay, so hang in there. See, that I prefer that. I know you like it really low, but guessing for the Behringer Wave? I think the Behringer Wave is going to sell really well. Because that everyone really was, you know, PPG has a certain legacy to it. It's pulsing in your headphones. Nice, Audrey. I'm glad you liked it. Reharmonization here. Are you out, River? Or are you just saying hello? Sustain this now. And I've got on the Korg mod wave, I've got a wavetable, PPG wavetable that's being scanned through on this pad. Yeah, it's like Inktober, or what's the writing one? There's for like write a book. I'm gonna pull these ARPs out. Let's just drone for a little bit. What would Andy do? Synchrotron. He would do the root and some octaves of the root. I think he put a fifth in there. NaNoWriMo. Yeah, Jeff, that's the one I was thinking of. There's one for like writing a book. A little bit here. I'm just going to record this drone in. Hang on while I sustain this out until it fades, and we'll just let it loop. Oh, I feel a sneeze coming on. Oh, no. I'm trying to sustain and I've got a sneeze coming. No! I have a head cold. Got this pad here that's got this LFO running, and the LFO responds to pressure by speeding up. Thank you, Davey. Let's see. Hints on how to start a journey to head towards this kind of set. Well, Andy would put a brick on a key to sustain it. That's true. Or stick a knife in the keyboard, right? Let's see, Mark. You need some synths. but you don't need a lot. And they don't have to be fancy. You just need a nice delay and reverb, because even the most basic synth sounds like this with delay and reverb on it. Yeah, Mark, if I missed any of your questions, put an @ symbol in my name so that I can see it. It'll tag it, or put a big capital Q at the beginning. So, Steve, thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I mean, you could do a whole lot, Steve. You need some sound sources. And like what I'm doing right now is just droning. You pick a key, right? You pick a scale that you're going to work with. The scales are basically a root note and then some number of additional notes. And since today is Sunday, and normally I do a Synth Shenanigans show on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern, but I'm not today because I have to go see a film with a neighbor and my family. So there will be no Synth Shenanigans at 2. This is going to be a longer session this morning. So feel free to run away if normally I've been trying to keep these short, but I'm going to run a little long this morning. And Mark, if you hang out, we can talk about it. But you basically pick a key. I don't know how much music theory you know. I'm not a music theory expert, but I've got some of the basics down. So what are we in right now? We're in A major transposed down to G. I think. Yeah, Jeff is kicking and screaming. You're absolutely correct. Although I do want to see the film. It's the Bob Dylan biography. And so what we're doing here is droning, more or less, depending on who you ask. And we're just holding the root note out, this G. I think it's a G. So here, if I turn this stuff down, I don't know if can you see this? Can you guys see the mixer view in the upper sort of left-hand corner? I think you can. So let's take some stuff out. So right now, all you're hearing is this instrument. This is the Rickenbacker bass with a Taurus pedal under it. And that's playing the root note. And it's just droning. I've basically hit the note and I hit sustain. And then over here, I have this Korg wave state synthesizer. It's a mid-tier synthesizer, not too expensive. You can get them used for a good deal. If you're just getting started, the most cost-effective way to do this is to use software, right? Everyone loves hardware. Well, lots of people love hardware. But you don't have to. Start with software. Lots of free virtual instrument synthesizers out there. Put it on your computer. Since you have a computer, you're connected to Discord. And then your software synthesizers get hosted inside a piece of software called a digital audio workstation, typically. And there's lots of those out there. And there's free versions or very low-cost versions of that. Reaper is a very nice one that's used frequently. Yep, if it sounds good, it is good. I saw that again. Steve, did you retract a message, or did YouTube consider it inappropriate? I'm seeing that more and more over the last couple of days. The chat will have a message that'll flash up and then disappear, and it'll say retracted. I was talking to Garen, it happened to him, and he was like, I didn't retract a message, but YouTube did. I don't know. Hey, there's Andy. Andy, we were just talking about drones. Synchrotron is Andy. We have some new people here, Andy, who are like, how do I get started doing this? Pardon me. Bad typing? Okay, that's fine. So anyway, so we have this droning bass part. We have a little chord part that's droning on top of that. And third synth, the Korg Mod Wave, another mid-tier synth. That, if you could see, this is the clip it's playing. It's just holding a chord out over the course of, you hear that coming in. Wow. Right? You just layer sounds. And if you're going to stream, have a mute button handy. All right, everybody's doing hellos. I'm going to put a little lead over this. Actually, we'll add one more layer of drone. I'm gonna pull some of these out so we can hear this new drone in isolation. I'm just gonna pull it down. So we have this one now. Sort of a breathy kind of sound. I'm just going to sustain this. Bring the other ones back in. Yeah, Audrey's got a great suggestion there, Mark. Right, VCV Rack, I think, is free or available. There's a free version. Vital, I think, is free or is a very inexpensive version. And Reaper, which is, I think, $40. And then a Launchpad Pro is a control surface. It's a grid like this, similar to this. Ardor, hey, my case. Let's try and balance the wavetable pad against the breathy pad. There it is. $70 every 3 years or so. There you go. Reaper is still a pretty good. That's an excellent value for sure. Now, if I was Andy, I would break out my guitar. I would noodle over this. But I don't play guitar, so we'll do something with a little lead. Harder than that. excessively echoey and reverby. Let's do this. Turn the delay feedback way up. Noodle with the bass guitar. It's droning right now. It's just the Taurus droning. Audrey. I will noodle with the bass guitar as well, but we'll put a little lead on there. Some people like the upper register stuff. Helical Coil. Hey there. Will English, good morning. Oh, pardon me. We have some new synth people in here this morning, so you'll see advice passing along on how to get started. That's fine, Mark. You're doing great. All right, so let's noodle let's noodle a little lead part over this. That warble, that's the delay. The delay echoes are getting warped a little bit as though they're on a tape who's been stretched a bit. So you'll hear some of the echoes sort of pitch out like that. Just making it up. Yeah, that deep hit, that sort of repitching. I've been recording all these noodles, but I don't think I'm going to keep them. We'll let them play and see what happens. That'll start playing by itself in a second. could play my bass, the hardware one, not the Rick bass sound. I don't own a physical bass anymore, Audrey. So the last bass I owned was a Steinberger upright, electric upright, basically. And I played in a shanty band. This was maybe 10 years ago. So I don't own a physical bass guitar anymore. I do own a bouzouki, though. I won't be pulling a bouzouki out. Yours are standing in the corner, Audrey? That's fine. At least you still have yours. Mine, the problem with an upright bass is that, especially when you play traditional Irish music, which is what I was doing, when you go to a session and you bring a bass, everyone hates you because it takes up so much space. It doesn't fit in the pub, really, barely. It's really a problem. So I got tired of people being like, why did you bring that? I was like, well, The world's most entertaining stream with a drone and a guy who just keeps clearing his sinuses. Chat, get caught up real quick here. The reason I switched to playing upright bass when I was a child was because it was too big for me to carry back and forth to school. So I had to leave it at school and I didn't have to practice at home. All right. Let's put some plucks in here. Adjust my velocity curve here. 1 second. I'm going to start noodling on the bass in a minute, Audrey. Better get this ARP down. right, let's record something for this bass here. The end. Let's see. While that's playing, we catch up on chat here. Nice, Jeff. When the marching band instructor wanted to learn that I played upright bass, he knew I could read the bass clef, and he tried to get me to play tuba, but I chose not to. Or sousaphone, similar. You haven't missed much IP. We droned for a while, then we started building it up again. Question, what is your controller controlling? Okay. Mark, what's your time frame like? So if I go for another 10 minutes of making, let me do a little lead on top of this for 10 minutes, 5 or 10, and then I'll break down how the instruments work. But what you can do is you can go back on the playlist for January. For this year. So the January playlist has like 3 years of Januaries in it. Just go back a couple days and look at video number 2. And number 2 has a breakdown of how everything works. But I'll talk about it a little bit in 10 minutes or so. Reading the chat. Hang on one second. All right. So we've got this old recording of the lead, sort of doing leady things. Let's replace it with a more energetic lead, and then we'll do a few chord changes. Hey, Moriel. Taking out all the droning chords right now. So what we've got running is plucks, a lead, and the bass right now. And let's replace the lead. Now the lead in this case, because I'm playing something more energetically, it literally has too much delay and reverb on it right now. So we're gonna pull that back a little bit. Dueling leads here. With a little pluck here. There we go. Play with the mixing a little bit. It's not Morris anymore. Sometimes it just flows off the tongue. Sorry. We're awake in the UK? Okay, Mark. All right. We'll do a breakdown of what all this was in another couple of minutes, okay? And everyone here who has seen it already is free to go live your life. For those of you who just popped in, this morning's stream is the replacement for the Sunday Synth Shenanigans that I would normally do in the afternoon. This afternoon, I'm engaged with family and friends to go see the Bob Dylan biography film at 2, which conflicted with the regular stream time. So this is it for today. Just catching up on the stream. Chat. All right. Be careful, Mark. Steve will lead you down a path of highly time-consuming social interaction online. But we love him for it. All right, I'm going to start slowing these down, bringing them out. And we'll do that by bringing one of the pads back in. Or 2 of them. We're going to bring the bass out. Right now. Sorry, Audrey. A clean ending for a change. Sometimes they're so abrupt, I just flub them. That's okay. All right, so we're gonna do a 10-minute interlude, and I'm gonna break down how this system works for Mark. Although I do encourage you, Mark, to go watch video number 2 because that'll cover it in more detail. But let's see. I'm just teasing you, Steve. Audrey, I appreciate Audrey. I'm just teasing. I tease from time to time. So thanks, Andy. I'm glad you liked it. I have to go back and watch the second half of your stream yesterday. I missed the middle bit. Anyway, so Mark, we have a new person, Mark. Hey, Mark Chandler. And Mark has asked the question, how do I get started doing this stuff? So at the end of the day, I'm not going to go, you could be very, very minimal, and you can just have some software on your computer, and that's it. And you literally just paint patterns into a piece of software that then interprets those patterns and plays them. All right. And Mark, you'll have to educate us on where your baseline is for knowledge of synthesizers and things like MIDI and sequencing and recording in general. So let us know if you're comfortable doing that. So thanks, Mike Ace. Will, thanks. Thanks, Moriel. I am such a tease. Talk to my wife or my kid. Anyway, so just, let us know, Mark, where your level is. So I know how basic to be or how low level. But essentially you need some sound sources. So that can be software or hardware, things that make noise. You need some sequencing or control, either equipment or software that allows you to control the sound sources. And then you need some sort of input device. And at the very minimum, that can be your mouse, and keyboard, or it can be a control surface like a grid, or it could be a piano style keyboard, or lots of weird things, on the fringes. So you have options. And basically you take your control surfaces and you use them to build up recordings of patterns or to simply play live to control the sound sources, synthesizers, software, or hardware. At its core, that's the simplest sort of approach. In chat, if you guys can simplify my words and make them more clear, please do. Good point, Don. So as far as the style of music that you work in, music has a spectrum that can go from what's referred to as noise music, which is all about texture. It isn't necessarily tonal where it's playing notes in the, 12 tone equal tempered scale, C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You've got music that's all about the texture of the sounds that are being made, right? And it doesn't really care about chords and notes and things like that. That's noise music on one end of the spectrum. And on the other end of the spectrum is, music academia. I'm going to put jazz on the other end of the spectrum. That's probably not an appropriate vector, right? But, people who care a whole lot about the notes and the interplay and the harmonies and stuff is on the other end. And you could be anywhere in the middle and you can mix and match and combine and that's all fine. And Mark says he's starting at the base level. So you have DAWs and controllers, all right? And you also have an MPC and a Crave. Okay, so I wouldn't say you're at the base level. You are you're not a novice, right? You're intermediate, right? And maybe you've bought a lot of gear and you haven't learned how to use it yet. There's a lot of that too, right? I certainly have some synthesizers sitting here that I should probably go read the manual a few more times. Let's see. Yeah, you'll get a lot of support, right? The synth community is pretty good. There are some toxic corners, but most people are pretty friendly. Oh, wow. So what are your plans musically? Yeah, what's your goals? Let us know what you're trying to do, right? Is it that you want to just, some people make music like therapeutically, like they come home from work and they're like, I'm not here to like record a new album and become a famous star. I'm here to, put on the headphones and make some noises that help me relax or make me feel good, right? I sort of fall into that category. I will release a piece of music like, once or twice a year. But for the most part, I make music for myself and I share it with my friends, right? But you can, maybe you want to be the next idol. I don't know. That's totally valid. It's up to you. Manuals. What are those? Yeah, you don't have to read the manual. And some manuals are evil, right? You read the manuals on some gear and the manual is just wrong or poorly translated. What happens a lot. You'll get manuals that have poor translations to, English or whatever your language of choice is. And they will just they'll harm more than they help. But then you can go to the community and say, hey, is there a guide or a guru? Or is there a series of videos that explains how this gear works? Because the manual is terrible. That's a good option. I used to say, or I have said in the past that there is a book that comes with most pieces of gear. It's a romance novel. It's a love story about this guy. It's a Latin love story about a guy named Manuel. And you have to learn how Manuel goes on his journey of love, right? My case. Thank you, my case. I have a bunch of YouTube tutorials on like Berlin School, the style of music I'm making, my style of music, whatever that is. It's kind of Berlin School. It's kind of not. Hey, Recon. Yeah, today's is the only stream. Normally on Sundays, I do one at 2. We're not doing that today. I have to go see a film with my family today. So we're doing a longer stream this morning. Mark says, ultimately, it's more on the EDM side. Julia Bondar. All right, but also ambient. That's fine. So that's, you're in good company, right? There's lots of people doing that. That's, and just make it your own. Your style is your style. You will hear people, I'm going to say something contentious, okay? You will hear people who will give you guidance that says, pick a genre. If you're going to work at EDM, you have to pick a genre and then go listen to the artists in the genre and try and sound just like them. That will help teach you how to use your gear and teach you a lot of music production tips. That's true, but I don't necessarily personally recommend that. I think having a genre that you're aiming for allows you to pick a direction, but definitely try and make music that is you, right? So that's fine. I like Berlin School, so Tangerine Dream, Schulze, Sun Ra, and I like prog rock. Yes, Rush, stuff like that. King Crimson. And so I have tried to recreate their songs, in my own system as an attempt to sort of deconstruct how their sound works and then take pieces of that and incorporate it into my music. But I'm not trying to clone them. I would avoid that if I was you. I'm getting a little preachy. You could tell me to shut up. That's fine. And listen to the chat. They'll have different viewpoints, right? So, yeah. So certainly in the EDM space is pretty crowded in that there's like a million splinter genres, and there's just a really large number of people who are trying to become YouTube stars, and so they're going to tell you that their way is the best way to do it. And, I've made sarcastic jokes in the past, but basically they will tell you, they'll give you all the cheat codes to help you level up and take your game to the next 10x level. So some of those people are awesome and they're very true, and they're working from a good place. But some of those people are just trying to increase their sub count and get you to buy their tutorials and stuff like that. So just be careful. If you're looking at purchasing some sort of training materials, share it with the people in the chat here and say, hey, has anyone looked at X and is it any good? Because chances are somebody's tried it. And if it's good, they'll be like, yeah, it was good. And if it sucks, they'll be like, no, it wasn't worth the money. So just keep that in mind. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. Let's see. really quick, catching up in the chat, seeing if anyone is disagreeing with me wildly. No. Yeah, they just want to sell training. Yeah. And that's okay. People are trying to run a business. And the business requires that they make sales pitches. So you're going to get that stuff. I don't fault them for saying stuff like that. It's fine. That's what you got to do. They're hustling, and that's fine. Just, caveat emptor. Is that buyer beware? Caveat emptor? I don't know. I don't speak Latin. I'm just regurgitating things I read on coins. How to find your Discord server. Oh yeah, Steve. Steve can get you hooked up for sure. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Still fighting this cold. All right. You should see how big the pile of in the dustbin is. It's a giant pile. Anyway, I don't do sales pitches myself, but I'll do this one. If you look at the description of any of my videos, there's a link to a Patreon page. If you go there, you can join our Patreon. It's $1 a month, and that'll get you access to our Discord. That's how it works. We put a gate up because that makes sure that the signal to noise ratio is good, like the conversation's good. And it sort of keeps out the riffraff, because if you are present on our Discord, it means you actually really want to be there because you're willing to reach into the holiest of places, your wallet. But I give that money away every summer back to one of the members. We pick at random, do like a drawing, which is totally illegal. So keep it on the down low. Anyway, but there are lots of open Discord servers. Steve's, I believe, is open. What's another one? The Synthera Discord. I'm not going to go find links to these right now. So just maybe at the end I'll post some links. So I know I should make somebody a spanner. I don't have any admins in here who can post links. It sort of prevents that. But anyway, so back to Mr. Chandler. Okay. So you want to work in sort of EDM. And you've got some gear. Okay. Your best thing to do is start talking to members of the community and just making some music. See, you need a mod. I do not. Yes, I might need a mod. What's the right way to say this? Having a mod is good, but it ties me to someone in a familial responsibility way that I'm uncomfortable with. Let's put it that way. Right. That's why I've opted to not be mods on most other people's places, because then I feel obligated to do my modly duties. And there are some days when I just can't do that. And it's not that I don't want to do that. It's that I feel bad that I am unable to do it. And so I've reached a point in my life where I am actively attempting to reduce the number of responsibilities I have every day. So, so that when I die, it's all good. Let's see. All right. All right. Where were we? Oh, so let's make some noise. It's been too quiet for too long. All right. So really quick. So Steve, it's not Steve. It's Mr. Chandler. What was your name? Mark. Okay, Mark. So I've got 7 instruments loaded into here. I'm using Ableton Live. And I'm using an Ableton Push, which is a nice grid controller that interfaces well with Live. It's very expensive though. I don't recommend it for people who are just starting. Get something like a Launchpad Pro or get a keyboard controller, right? If you want to have a surface to touch. I'm using a grid because I like playing grids and they take up less space. So I have 7 instruments loaded. I have a drone. Half of what you're hearing today are VSTs, virtual instruments. The other half are hardware instruments. That was a VST. It's called Omnisphere. In fact, all of the VSTs this month are Omnisphere, and all of the hardware synths are Korg hardware synths. That's the choice I made at the beginning of January, and I reduced the number of things I need to think about actively every day for the stream by just saying that's what I'm using. All right. We have some plucks. Mark, if you don't know what an arpeggiator is, it's a utility that when you hold down a chord, it arpeggiates or runs through the notes of the chord rhythmically. All right, so that's a synth with an arpeggiator on it. Then I've got leads. With too much delay and reverb on them. Because that's the genre I'm sort of aiming at, is this sort of space music genre. I've got a bass. This is a sampled bass of a Rickenbacker bass guitar. And it has a Moog Taurus pedal underneath an octave below it as a sub. I am a trained bass player from back in the day. And none of those skills translate into playing it on a grid. So, whatever. And then I've got Korg hardware. So this is a Korg Op 6. Doing a little pluck. I do a lot of music with plucks, pads, and drones for the most part, and leads. Then there's the Korg wave state, which I'm using to drone. And then finally the Korg mod wave. And that is scanning a wavetable. So you have synths that are virtual analog emulations of analog gear, right? So you'll get, right? That's emulating a triangle oscillator. But this is a different kind of oscillator that has a wavetable. It's a waveform that changes over time. And then it's basically scanning through that. And it's got that wow kind of timbre change. It's just another variant of a type of oscillator. And if you knew all this, just let me know. I'll shut up. Sometimes, we go too basic. Wavetable synths are super popular right now. 10 years ago, it was all about virtual analog. Now it's wavetables. You said you own an MPC. I can't help you much with that workflow because I don't own an MPC. I don't work in that space. But there are tons of people. That community is huge online. So you can go dig up a Discord for MPC use and then find one that's, working in the genre you want to work in. So EDM, MPC for EDM, right? As opposed to MPC for like hip hop or, acid jazz or something like that. You want to say dark synthwave and Berlin School. Okay, so Berlin School is not really a genre, I say. Berlin School is like a set of techniques you use to make music, but there are a lot of people say it's a genre, and that's fine. But you can use Berlin School techniques to make classic 70s Berlin School or the sort of 80s. There's eras of Berlin Schools, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond. And that's fine. You're in the right place. This group, you're in the right place based on the sort of genres you threw out there, the styles of music that you're interested in. Just an aid. What are you sulking about, Steve? Oh, Spanners are just an aid, nothing more. Ooh, Andy cuts Steve to the quick once again. Ow, man, go put on the hair shirt, Steve. All right. Oh, hang on one second, guys. My dog's crying at the door. Hang on. All right. So the dog escaped me. He got away. I tried to grab him so you could meet him. But anyway, I asked my wife to take him to the yard. He needs breakfast and peeing and things like that. It's a little loaf of bread. It's a 15-pound Bichon. I did do a video on grids, a couple of them, actually. I gave a seminar at the New England Synth Festival on why grids are useful. Let's see. We just get caught up here real quick. Wavetable, free synth. Like I said last night at SOAR, I can't be offended. I didn't see SOAR. I saw a little tiny piece of SOAR last night. SOAR got real political last night. I don't like the politics stuff, so I tend to switch off when that happens. And, whatever. Okay. Anyway, so Mark. So we've got these synths. Got them all loaded up here. All right. This other little thing over on the side is another grid that's just a control surface for doing chord changes and things like that and controlling some synth sounds. I'm not going to get into that today. Again, go watch video number 2 for an explanation of more control surfaces, but I think you can pick that up like osmotically over time. Okay. Oh, God. If it's not one thing, it's another. Don't get old, kids. You start to fall apart. And basically I sequence. So when we're doing Berlin School stuff, I work in patterns, right? So I'll set up, we'll set up a little pattern. Let's turn off this arpeggiator. Let's not arpeggiate. Let's do it all by hand. Okay. Okay. All right. So we'll use an E piano. All right. Actually, we'll be really classical. Use a piano. So we'll just set up a simple pattern here really quick. We'll say this is going to be a 2-bar pattern. All right. So, and I'm just going to record notes within the key. So I am working in, what am I working in? A, G, F. I think this is F minor. I think so. I'm going to set up a 2-bar pattern here. Really simple. Like that. Ooh, helps if I had better timing. There we go. All right, so I've got a pattern playing. And now we'll go to a different synth. And we'll put a different pattern on top of it, okay? All right, so we've got these 2 patterns playing against each other with 2 different instruments, okay? Do you have a video on how you load up your Ableton? A whole bunch. Not from the perspective of a lot of people out there will be like, hey, I've made an Ableton template. You can buy it. I don't do that. But I do a lot of videos about, well, it depends on what you mean by load up, right? So I've got tracks. Every track's got an instrument on it. As far as effects, everything's got a delay and a reverb on it. And then anything else is like gravy. You can do whatever you want. And then, they're either, or if you're asking, how do you make Ableton talk to hardware? I did do a video on that. But the Ableton manual, read the manual. The Ableton manual has a section on a device called the external instrument device. That's what you want. Okay, so go read that. It's important. That's something you really should definitely understand if you're using Ableton. Okay. And thank you, Steve, for doing that mod behavior of repeating a question I missed. Thank you. Tracy, you may or may not be the oldest here. I'm not sure. I mean, So, we like to do 80s movies references, right? All right, so hold on. So there is a great 80s movie called Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins. And it's a first film that they never made any sequels for, but it was going to be a franchise based on this really old series of adventure novels, pulps really, books called the Destroyer series. And there's a character in it, the master of Shenanju, this guy named Chun. And Chun is from Korea, and he is the master of this magical martial art called Shenanju. And he is super sarcastic and really bitter all the time and likes to beat up the hero because he thinks the hero is an American idiot. Okay? So this is an action comedy. It's worth watching. But they talk about how old Chun is. And whenever Andy mentions being old, I really see Andy as Chun because Chun says, age means nothing. He's like, he holds up, he's like, what is it? To a mountain, I have not yet begun, but to a cabbage, I am ancient. And so whenever Andy starts talking about age, I hear Chun, but with Andy's voice going, to a cabbage, I am one of the ancients. All right. So anyway, hey, Eternian. Who else popped in here? Eternian. Katie. Hey, Katie. 3:30 a.m. Pacific time. Oof. Okay. So we've got a newcomer. We got Mark Chandler here who's just getting started in synths and stuff. So I'm just demonstrating basic Berlin School pattern-y things. So Mark, we've got 2 patterns running. Okay, one on each synth. And they're interplaying with each other. Okay? And that's fine, except that after about 8 repetitions of this, it's going to sound boring. So what you do is you take one of those patterns, because they're both about the same, they're both an even number of bars. One's 4 bars long, and one is, one's 2 bars long, okay? So what you do is you take one of those and you make it a little bit shorter, like 2 beats shorter or 1 bar shorter. So we'll shorten this one. You hear how it sounds different now? That's because they're no longer lockstepped with each other. One's a little bit shorter. So this one starts before this other one does. And you get this sort of phasing feel. And it makes to your brain a lot more interesting. And then once you've got this pattern sort of layer thing running, I call it a bed, you just put some melodies on top of it. And it could be bass melodies or it could be lead melodies, right? Or you could play a chord like drone on top of it. Here, let's drone. So we know what key we're in. We're in F minor, I think. So we'll play a couple Fs. Right, we can sustain those. Play with our mixing, and then we can start playing a little lead on top of that. And if you know what key you're in, we're in F minor, you can play all of the notes inside that scale. All right, so this takes a little practice, or you can use a grid that lights up to tell you what notes are inside the scale. On this grid, all of the pink things are Fs, and everything that's white is inside the scale. And will sound okay. If you go outside, it's outside the scale, right? So or you could play a bass line, a bass melody underneath it. captured that bass line. Let me put it back. There we go. We go back to our lead now that our bass line's playing. We recorded a little line there. So we've got a bunch of stuff running. And in theory, I've got a drum part. I'm a terrible drummer. No, I'm not even going to go there today. No drums today. Sorry, guys. All right. Anyway, so that's the general approach, Mark. So let's, we'll keep that drone going. Actually, we'll change it up. All right. Let's see. I saw a question. Let's see. Eternian says, how do you turn off Roland Boutique internal sequencer so I can use Ableton to trigger it? I have no clue, Eternian. I don't have any of the Roland Boutique gear. Let's see. Is Task Boy here? He's got some Roland Boutique stuff. If anybody has any Roland Boutique synths and can answer Eternian's question, how do you turn off the internal sequencer? I don't know. There's got to be a way. Did you look in the... I hate to sound like a broken record. Have you looked in the manual? I don't know. I wouldn't put it past Roland to be like annoying and say, You could probably turn off its internal clock receive. You could probably go in. It's probably not a way to turn. If there isn't a way to turn off the sequencer. Okay. Most synths care about two things when they have internal sequencers. They care about MIDI clock, right? So a clock pulse that's coming in. And they care about transport, start and stop, which is, should I start my sequencer? Should I start my arpeggiator? Should I stop it, right? So if you go to the settings, go read the manual and look in the settings that you can change. And there's probably one that says, do you listen to clock? Yes or no? And there's almost certainly one that says, do you listen to transport? And so what you can do is you can turn off the transport one. And then when you start your stuff in Ableton and it sends, okay, transports that I'm connected to, everybody start up and start running, it won't. And it'll just sit there and wait. And when you send it MIDI notes, it'll play them. I bet that's how it works. I'm guessing, but again, I don't own any Roland Boutique stuff, but I've got other gear that works that way. Hey, Dr. Felix. Welcome back. Audrey says to Mark, "Don't remember you don't need a ton of hardware or software." Gear acquisition syndrome. I love gear acquisition syndrome. Buy more synths, man. That's the bumper sticker I should sell. All right, turn in and don't thank me until you know it works, but that's probably what it is. You probably have to turn off transport. And because Roland, so I talked earlier that some manuals are like terrible. Roland manuals are their own breed of weird. They're not bad manuals in that they are very thorough. But the translation is sometimes a little odd. And they have their own concepts for things. So like what everyone else would call transport, Roland may call it something like TX. Like I've seen in Roland manuals, it'll say TX send receive, yes, no, right? And it's like, oh, I have to tell that means transport, right? So look for that. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Anyway, so where are we doing? It's almost 7. God, I've been going for almost 2 hours. So this is to make up for the, for those of you who popped in, I'll say it a third time. I will not be streaming this afternoon at the normal 2 o'clock Sunday time because I have to go do family fun stuff. We have visitors and things like that. And, so this morning's stream for January is the stream for the day. So heads up. Tomorrow, every other day, for the rest of the month, I'm trying to stream at 5 a.m. on every day, 5 a.m. U.S. Eastern time. And then the Sunday streams, I will still do if I can. But I'll let you know on the Sunday 5 a.m. stream whether I'll be doing the 2 p.m. stream or not. So anyway. All right. I think that's probably good. 2 hours is really long for me. And if anybody, the fact that you're all, well, that some of you are still here is pretty amazing. I run out of stamina. So I could do Andy on Saturday mornings because it starts at 5. So I can lay in bed and watch Andy. So it's all good. Thanks, Audrey. So Mark, if you're still here, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm probably going to start to shut her down some. For Mark Chandler, when will you be streaming tomorrow? So tomorrow I will be streaming at 5 a.m. U.S. Eastern time. That is what I'll be doing every day this month. Okay. And if you go to my channel, to the community tab, I will post there if something catastrophic happens and I can't stream or something like that. I'll generally post on the community tab on the Synth Seeker channel saying, hey guys, no stream today because X, right? Yeah, I got to go back to work tomorrow too, Andy. That's why I chose 5 a.m. because I can come in here and get it done and then still get to work on time. So that is the state of the world. Hang on one second. And I still have a cold. Man, having a cold sucks. Really, that's about it. All right. So, hey, I hope the rest of you have a good rest of your day. For those of you where it's like noonish or after early afternoon, hope the rest of your day is easy and, enjoy the remains of your Sunday. Tracy says, January means it's been a year since I discovered the channel. Aw. How time flies. It's all good. Audrey says you're doing a video recording of a PhD promotion, like to sell PhDs or to sell a program or to, try and get people to sign up for the PhD program. Yep, when you're having fun. Hey, Rhett. Hi, all. I'm getting mad because I can't find a detailed tutorial on setting up scales and chords. Oh, well, there are lots of those out there. So Rhett, I hope I'm saying it's Reet, whatever. So there is a channel called Signals Music Studio, and the guy who runs it is a guy named Jake Lizzo. He is a great teacher about scales and chords. All right, I would definitely check him out. Signals Music Studio on YouTube. And then if you mean by setting up, you mean setting up inside your hardware or software stuff? Like, do you mean, if you mean I need help setting it up in like Ableton or Bitwig, if that's what you mean, I would check out, if you want to make this style of music, kind of like space music that I make, check out Signs of Life. The guy who runs that channel is named Chris. He has a ton of Ableton tutorials on how to do scales and modes and things like that. So check out him. I've got a few videos of my own. You can dig around on my channel. I'm not super software specific, and I'm in this Berlin school space. So depends on what you're trying to do. And you're using a Launchpad Mini. I'm using a Launchpad Mini, but Audrey says the PhD promotion celebration to the candidates. Oh, nice. Oh, promotion. Okay. A U.S. Idiom would be graduation, or right. They've earned their PhD is what you mean. That's cool. Later, Eternian. Have a good one. Yeah, Steve. Sono Lucius. So Rhett, if you're going to look up Signs of Life, it uses the number 1 for the letter I when you go dig them up. You're an FL Studio guy. Definitely visit Signs of Life. He's got a Discord as well that has a lot of FL Studio users in it, so you can definitely get some help there. All right. 700 PhD promotions a year. That's a big school. And it's live streamed. Wow. That's pretty impressive, Andrew. All right, Rhett. Hey, no problem, Rhett. Everyone else, thanks very much. I'm going to get out of here. All right. I got to go do breakfast and tend to my animals, both the dog and the rest of my family. Oh. All right. Let's see. Where are we going? All right. I'm ending the stream. I will talk to you all. I'll see you either in the Discord or in the chat or the comments in the future. All right. Have a good one. Play nice.